I trained planche every day for 30 days, and to be honest, the results are way better than expected. So, I originally started this training because I am dealing with an ankle injury and I can't run the way I want to run. So, to give myself a challenge in the meantime, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I decided to take on this training planche every day challenge. And to be honest, I've gotten the best results in the past year or more. So let's just talk about it. Let's talk about how I structured my training, about what worked, didn't work, and what you have to be careful of. Okay, in order to get to my first talking point, I'm just gonna do set number one. I'll show it to you, and then we can talk about it. All right, as you can see, a couple straddle planche push-ups. And one point that you have to take care of when you're doing daily training is your intensity. You have to train at a low intensity because if you're going at a high intensity all the time to your max, well, you won't be recovered for the next day. And that's something you're gonna figure out quickly. If you train too intensely, you will feel yourself getting weaker and weaker by the day. And if your intensity is correct, you will actually feel like most of the time you will feel lighter and lighter. And a good gauging point for this, a good point of reference is if you can do your sets without any warm up and, well, of course, not risk injury, right? You can do your set safely without any warm up, then you're probably at a good spot. So for me, these straddle planche push ups, they're fine, they're not too heavy on the wrist, they're not too heavy on the shoulders. I can just bust them out whenever I want to. And so I know that this is a good intensity for me, even on days that I'm tired. That's point number one, train at a low intensity. All right, let's get to talking point number two, which is train at a high intensity. Now, this is the exact opposite of my last talking point, which sounds a bit funny, but I'll explain it by comparing the training to running. So, when you're running, you have different speeds that you can run at. You can lower the slow pace, run at a slow pace, and you can run at a fast pace. And oftentimes, when you see runners train, they will do most of their training at a lower pace to train their heart, to basically get in running volume. And then a tiny percentage of the training, usually 10 to 20%, is going to be at a faster pace. And this is to just actually, get faster, obviously, but it's not like when you don't do those faster runs that you don't get faster at all. If you just go for a run and you run a lot, even if it's at a slow pace all the time, you will get a bit faster. But it's the same with calisthenics and your planche training in this case. When you're training the planche, if you train at a low intensity all the time, yes, you're gonna get a bit stronger. It's gonna feel better, but in order to get truly strong and in order to make true gains and better gains, sometimes you have to go at a higher intensity. And whether it's 10 to 20% for the planche, I don't know. It might actually be the case if I look back at my training of the past 30 days. But basically, what I do is twice a week, not today, unfortunately, but twice a week, I will, do these. I will do my light workout, and then after that I will do a couple more sets where I actually go to my max, where I go for intensity, where I try to beat a previous PR or whatever, right? And by doing that you will actually give a stronger stimulus to your body, and your body adapts and becomes stronger. And by becoming stronger, right, your top end gets higher, or your top end becomes stronger, and so your base, your low intensity level, also goes up. And that's kind of the circle, right? You do low intensity, you become a bit stronger, you beat your PR at the top end, and by beating your top end, by becoming stronger, when you dash out 100% of your power, automatically, right, that low intensity base will also become a bit higher, it will become a bit stronger. And so, for example, right now my base is about 6 treadle planche push-ups, right, for 5 sets. If I get truly strong, right, and I become able to do like 10 full planche push-ups in an intense set, well, eventually I might be doing 5 sets of 7 in the treadle planche, even on low days, right? And so high intensity is very important as well if you want to, make planche your top priority. Okay, let's talk about rep ranges. In the last 30 days, I've mostly been between the rep ranges of 5 to 10 reps. And well, that's for a workout where basically the base, right, the light workout is 5 sets of planche push-ups. If you're doing a hold, I guess it would be 5 to 10 seconds, right? But being in that intensity range for me worked the best because if you go lower, for example, let's say I would do only full planche push-ups, well, the full planche push-ups is still quite difficult for me. And so if I'm doing full planche push-ups, let's say I'm able to do 4 reps, right? And so I only do 2 reps in my sets in my daily workouts. Yes, it's only 50% of what I'm capable of, but it's still a very high intensity exercise for me. And so I'm putting in a lot of energy for little volume. And I feel like, the benefit on a daily basis is just not there. Instead, I think it's better to use the full planche or the high intensity exercises on your high intensity day where, you can go all out and get all of those reps. And vice versa as well. Let's say, I'm doing lean planche, but I would go for 5 sets of 20 reps. I just feel like, the planche is a strength exercise. So if I'm doing 5 sets of 20 in the lean planche push up, it's more endurance, it's volume. It's not bad, but it's a different goal, right? It's not going to make my top end of the planche a lot stronger. And so I feel like at the moment, for me, where I started, 5 to 10 reps, is a very solid base. And of course, if you want to deviate from that later on, that's fine. But I would just say if you're gonna try this, start with 5 to 10 reps, and it shouldn't be your max, right? On the light base workout, the one you're doing every day, make sure that you're not going to your max. You should be going to 70% at most, because guess what? The next day you're gonna have to do it again. Again, take the warm up rule. If you can do your set without a warm up, then probably you're fine. If you can do it safely, of course. If you can do your set without a warm up and not get injured, then you're on a good track. But yeah, 5 to 10 reps for me seems like a sweet spot at the moment. Okay, the last point I want to talk about is a point I struggle with myself a lot personally, and that is the form. Because when you're training planche every day, you're getting a lot of repetition. And so you want to make sure that you are repeating the right stuff. If you're constantly doing, planche in a bad form, especially bent arms, or perhaps you're a banana, or perhaps you're you're a fucking turtle, right? Your back is bent in all different directions. Well, if you're repeating that pattern, you're basically going to teach your body to keep doing that because guess what? You're doing it every day, right? You have a lot of repetition, like I said. And so form is very important. And that also, it ties kind of into the intensity part. But if your low intensity workout is too high of an intensity, you won't have like any leeway to focus on your form. When I'm doing these treadle planche push-ups, I'm able to concentrate on the execution. If I see something bad, like hey, at the end my arms are not extended, I can adjust it to the next set. And like I've been struggling with this because as you are doing these low intensity workouts, you will feel lighter and lighter and lighter. It will become easier, right? And so you're getting stronger, you're getting excited, and so you want to try more difficult stuff quickly. And for example, I've been moving on to full planche push-ups at a rapid pace in the last week or something, but that's something you have to build up very slowly. So I went basically from only stealth planche push-ups to everything full planche push-ups in like a week or something, and then you notice, the intensity becomes too high. You don't get stronger day to day anymore, and you have to tone it back down. And so make sure, right, that you can always focus on your form in the light base workout. The base workout is the low intensity workout. You're doing, max 70%, and then in the high intensity stuff, when you're, once or twice a week, when you're going that extra mile, when you're going the extra step, you're dashing out of all of your power. In those times, it's fine that you every now and then lose a bit of form, right? It's also necessary to push past plateaus, but make sure that your low intensity stuff is at least, yeah, taken care of when it comes to form. Like I said, I struggle with this as well, but it's very important. Okay, set number 5 is done. That's my base workout, 5 sets of push ups. It could be something different for you, but yeah, when it comes to these workouts, I don't really have a set in stone workout or reps that I want to do, right? I don't know how I'm gonna feel every day beforehand, right? So I just want to make it flexible. I tell myself I'm gonna do 5 sets, and then on the day itself, I do set number one. I see how I feel, and I decide how my sets are gonna look like. So today, I started off the day with 6 full planche push-ups, felt very light, and so I decided, hey, I can try some full planche push-ups, and I can keep doing planche push-ups. But on another day, I might be very tired and start out with lean planche push-ups and decide, today I'm very tired. I'm gonna keep doing lean planche push-ups at a very low intensity. That's kind of how it goes. You have these ups and downs, but in general, right? I just do 5 sets because I feel like if I do 5 sets of 5 to 10 reps, I'm getting in a good volume. It allows me to recover, but also it allows me to get stronger. It allows me to focus on the form. And so for me, that's kind of the sweet spot at the moment. But don't just listen to what I say. Take some ideas if you would like to train planche every day and then see for yourself. Perhaps you think like, hey, this is too low of an intensity. I want to train harder. I want to see how that affects me. Well then go ahead and try it, right? Perhaps you work better with 3 to 5 reps or with 10 to 20 reps, right? I don't know. So the important thing is that you try it out for yourself if you want to train planche every day, of course. But I think by forcing yourself to focus on a certain movement every day, there is no way you're gonna stay the same, right? You're gonna get stronger because, well, you're forcing yourself to think about the movement. You're forcing yourself to adapt to it, and that's, well, step number one to getting stronger, to making gains. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's training. Very simple, just 5 sets. Doesn't take long, perhaps 20 minutes at most. Sometimes I smash it out in in like 5 to 10 minutes, right? But yeah, nonetheless, very happy with the results. So I'll see you tomorrow for a pull day. Yes.